Jashmant Shah, you know, the Aam Aadmi Party would say it's exemplary. You have given out a very strong message when it comes to zero tolerance, especially to what you had gone to the people with, of the plank of no corruption and development. On the other hand, the BJP has now said that there is more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The anti-graft, no corruption was a smokescreen where you were concerned.
Priti, today is a historic day in India's politics because it's only the second time ever in Indian politics where a sitting CM, without waiting for any sign of external pressure, has suo moto acted and dismissed his own minister. The first time this happened was in 2015 when CM Arvind Kejriwal took action on one of his ministers precisely because the evidence that he was given by one of the volunteers was convincing enough for him. Today again, Bhagwant Mann, a sitting health minister who has been in party for a very long time, he did not wink. He did not make excuses. He did not wait for this to be picked up by opposition or media. He today proved that today if there is one party in the entire Indian politics that wants to act tough on corruption, that has zero tolerance on corruption, it is the Aam Aadmi Party. And it has vindicated the faith that millions of Indians have on the Aam Aadmi Party, that, you know, probably the party is large. There may be a person somewhere in the party, if they even think or they even dare about doing even 1 rupee's corruption, they will not be spared, be it a sitting minister, be it a volunteer, be it an ML. And I think that is what people want from Indian politics. And that is what they want from Aam Aadmi Party. Just think about since 1947, how many parties, how many ministers would have indulged in corruption? BJP, Congress, I mean, can BJP and Congress claim that none of their ministers ever have committed corruption? But at the same time, how many have been suo moto sacked by their own chief ministers? Zero. And that tells you today that Aam Aadmi Party today is the only hope for cleaning up Indian politics.
All right, stay with me. I want to bring in Majinder Singh Sirsa as well into this conversation. Mr. Sirsa, the fact is that today the BJP is calling the Aam Aadmi Party that this is a stunt. They are saying that, you know, there is always been rampant corruption in the party. But one has to admit, which other political party has done so? I'll give you a recent example where your party is concerned, where in a suicide letter, Mr. Ishwarappa was charged of corruption, and all Mr. Ishwarappa did after immense amount of pressure is to step down as minister. And that also with a lot of grandstanding. When has, you know, any other party ever done something like this?
See, देखिए कुछ भी बोलने में, when you speak about something, Yediyurappa or many other leaders, the people might have said कि ये corrupt, वो corrupt. But is there any kind of evidence? Today, Bhagwant Mann ji himself were admitting that I had an audio recording where his minister was asking for a handsome amount of 1% commission. He even took out that amount, and the video, audio got recorded. The person who handed over this commission to him recorded this audio conversation between the minister and himself. Now the question is, it is just to prove their high moral ground. Presumably, first of all, I would congratulate him for that. There is no doubt that he is shunting out his minister. But the biggest question here is, the ED has attached assets worth 4.5 crore of Mr. Satinder Jain in 2017 corruption case. Whether they have dismissed him, whether they have shunted him out, no. Everybody, it's a talk of the town that Aam Aadmi Party sold their Raj Sabha in Delhi and thereafter 2 seats in Punjab. Everybody knew they had sold their tickets for Lok Sabha elections. Everybody, in fact, if you remember, I just want to remind you, if you remember the incident of Jalandhar, where Raghav Chadha was held almost for an hour, and there was a big fight between the people, and they were accusing that Raghav Chadha ne itne paise ticketton mein liye hain. It is not me. I'm not blaming. It was Aam Aadmi Party's volunteers and party men who were blaming that Raghav Chadha ne ticketein bechi hain. And thereafter, this sand mafia. You used to remember how Arvind Kejriwal used to say कि हम खत्म कर देंगे जी हमने आज today the sand is 10 times costlier than the other governments, and who is taking that money? Yes, to take high moral ground when they were well aware of the fact. If you have noticed this thing, the video was recorded by Bhagwant Mann. This Mr. Singla was held captive at his house, जहां भी उनको रोका गया था. पहले भगवंत मान ने एक वीडियो तैयार की, प्रॉपर अरविंद केजरीवाल जी से उसकी ब्लेसिंग्स के साथ वो वीडियो बनाई गई, जस्ट 30 सेकंड्स। यू नीड टू नोटिस 2-3 थिंग्स। वही स्लोगन जो अरविंद केजरीवाल बोल रहे हैं, वही स्लोगन, सेम स्लोगन जो भगवंत मान बोल रहे हैं, ये सब कुछ पहले रिकॉर्ड किया गया, सारी प्री प्लानिंग की गई। उसके बाद उसको कहा गया कि हम उसको अरेस्ट करने जा रहे हैं। हैव यू एवर हर्ड दिस थिंग? अरेस्ट करने जा रहे हैं आदमी को, आदमी कहीं नहीं दिख रहा, वो ना टीवी पे आ रहा है, ना उसके से बात कर पा रहा है। पहले वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग होती है, सब कुछ तय किया जाता है, उसके बाद फिर पब्लिक में आ जाता है। हमने वीडियो भी रिकॉर्ड कर ली है, हमारा सब कुछ अब तैयारी हो गई है। अब हम आपको बता रहे हैं जी, हम सिंगला को कुछ देर में अरेस्ट करने जा रहे हैं। आई थिंक इफ आई एम रॉन्ग, प्लीज करेक्ट मी इफ आई एम रॉन्ग। Have you ever
I'll
seen
correct
this
you on
in
one
one
account, sir.
country
As I bring in
If you have
Jasmine
seen
Shah to
this,
answer this question, and I'll bring in our Congress spokesperson as well. Arshdeep Khadia is also joining us. But I'll correct you on one account where you said that, with the likes of Mr. Ishwarappa, there are no charges. There was a suicide note, sir, which said that accusing Mr. Ishwarappa of graft, your own party. But I want to bring in Jasmine Shah once again, and Arshdeep, just give 2 minutes of patience. I'll come to you. But Jasmine Shah, there are questions that have been raised. Can you take us through the sequence of events on what exactly happened? Was this a sting operation or an investigation that was conducted by your party, and then you saw and found out that the minister was guilty? What exactly went down?
There was no pre-hatch, and this is classic of BJP. Everybody knows today, and I'll come to your question, but let me make one point early. The legacy of current BJP leadership under Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah is that the market for MLAs has become even more bigger than the stock market of India. Think about the number of MLAs that have been bought and sold in the last 7 years, especially from Congress, which is at the seller side, and the buyer side is the BJP. And they today stand here and talk about standards of morality and corruption. As far as the sequence of events is concerned, there was a recording that was sent to the CM. Now, think about it. When does a recording reach the CM? When whoever sent the recording, the identity, will come out if it has to come out. But if it is a whistleblower, then the identity will not come out. But the fact that people could trust the CM, and within hours, the CM did not blink. The CM found the recording to be convincing enough that he took decisive action. And I think this talks for itself. If a suicide note where the name of a person, a BJP leader is there, is not convincing enough for BJP to sack and initiate criminal proceedings,